We're going international. We're putting it all in one little roll-up that we call the InSide Kradle. Going deep as we do every single week from Sportskeeda Wrestling. Hours of content coming at you, but this one we go a little bit further. We're going international. That's right. We're gonna walk the walk and wrestle the talk here with Stephanie Chase today on InSide Kradle. Money in the Bank is this weekend. WWE is back in front of live fans. Live fans are back in wrestling. We've been talking about it. We're going to cover all of it. I'm Kellam. That's Rick Ucchino. That's Stephanie Chase. This is the InSide Kradle.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out.
And as if that wasn't enough, living legend Natalya is going to be with us today. We're going to talk to Natalya from WWE, so a lot to talk about. And if you're watching this video, go ahead and slam that like button. Let us know what you think. Comment along with this. We are taped. If you are watching on demand or live, don't worry. You can still get involved with this. And check it out. The audio podcast of this is up as well. If you can only watch part of it, you can catch the rest of it. Stephanie joining us from the UK, our friend from WrestleTalk. How are you, Steph?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you guys so much for having me. How are you?
Oh, I'm just pumped. I was just talking to you guys before we went. I haven't felt this way in a long time. I thought that I would be excited for this year's WrestleMania. I'm a little bit more excited for this weekend, especially after watching last night's All Elite Wrestling Fyter Fest and hearing the roar of an arena crowd. I'm particularly excited for Money in the Bank this weekend and SmackDown. I think we're gonna have one of the more important SmackDowns we've ever seen in quite some time. How about you? What's I know in the UK maybe there's a little bit more. You guys know you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for shows and stuff like this. But is it fun to know that you're gonna be able to watch this though in some way?
Yeah, I am excited to see fans back at WWE, but I would more say maybe I have a morbid curiosity because I want to see who's actually people react to and things, because last night's Dynamite was just a great example of a crowd that were completely on fire, and we got some of the biggest reactions we've seen in a long time at that show. So I'll be very interested to see how it goes WWE style, what people have really connected during this time away, if they actually let the crowd fully express themselves or if they're still hitting those buttons backstage.
I don't know how they're going to be able to do that in this circumstance, but maybe they're going to like not having to hit the buttons, you know?
I was going to say, because back before the crowds went away, they would actually pipe down the crowd noise.
Yes, they would. Yeah.
Vince didn't like what they were saying, or this, that, or at least that was the rumor. And Stephanie, to your point, I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine on Twitter today. He's like, man, look at AEW. Look at these young stars that are mega over that WWE doesn't have. And he's talking about Adam Page and Britt Baker and Jungle Boy, and the crowd just going absolutely hot for all those people last night. And I'm like, well, to be fair, and yes, absolutely right, all of those people are way over, and AEW is eating them up. We don't know who actually is over, because judging just based off of the internet is impossible. So I think that is the most exciting, especially somebody like Nikki Cross with this new character. The internet seems to hate it, but I think that the live crowds are going to show their affection for her.
And you know what? There's been so many examples of characters that live crowds love, that WWE crowds show up and love, but the internet hates. Braun Strowman was a great example of that and his rise to prominence. People that, I don't know why they're pushing this guy. He's just big and strong, and I don't get it. But live crowds come and see a huge guy who has a ton of personality and goes out there and will just eat up the space, and he got over by doing that. Santino Marella was like that for a long time. They casual fans found him really entertaining and stuff like that. And here's the thing I think internet fans have to realize, and it will be something they realize very, very quickly. They're not the gatekeepers. They think they are, but they're not. And they think, oh, well, it's just got to be guys that look like me and talk like me and just guys, right? And they're going to see WWE is a very diverse audience right now. And it's going to sound completely different. You're going to hear a lot more high register voices when certain people come out. There are going to be a lot more moms with their kids and their broy sons enjoying wrestling. And I kind of like the idea that the circuit's tent is a little bit wider in terms of the audience that WWE is going to have. They're not going to be quiet. I think the crowds this weekend, especially in Texas, if last night was any example, they are not going to be quiet, and they've wanted this for a long time.
I think so. I think it's going to be interesting, though, to your point about the type of people that make up the WWE crowds, the family stuff.
Yeah,
sometimes
broader.
I wonder, though, to be a negative here on WWE, if now that you have the AEW comparison, if you put a level playing field with them both having crowds, that WWE getting the live crowds back could be a bit of a downfall for them in the end. That would make people turn over to AEW because they'll see the more cartoony things that like get over on WWE. And now that there's like a proper alternative, and if you put them head to head, both with crowds, I think the more like the people in their 20s, even the teens, 30s might drift over to AEW, and WWE getting crowds back might not be the best thing for them. That's just my bad WWE opinion.
Getting crowds back is one thing, but if they continue to put out, for Raw, for example, it's been a little bit better the last couple of weeks leading up to this ramp. But if they keep putting out the same product that they have been putting out, the live crowds aren't going to react to, that there's a lot that has to change. But the fact that we are now, we have those live audiences, it gives me hope that WWE is going to pull out all the stops. We've heard the reports that there's going to be some major surprises this weekend. I'm hoping they're not just going to sit here and rest on the returns of people like Becky Lynch and John Cena, and they actually have some major plans for change in place. But that is a discussion for another time. Kevin and I will get into that in a little bit. Let's talk about Fyter Fest. This is why we brought you in here. And I brought her up earlier. Dr. Britt Baker. Is there a better promo in all of wrestling right now than what she throws out there every week? Every single week, she gets the same reaction out of me, and it is, damn, every single time.
Yeah, she's absolutely fantastic. And that's someone that honed everything during this period where you didn't have very many people in the audience. And now that you're seeing her coming out, she's getting these huge reactions. And she's still a heel, but she's able to work her promo like to still just be that same heel character, even though people are cheering her, putting up her up against Nyla Rose, who is more of a straightforward heel. I think it was a good idea because you can't deny the crowd reaction she's going to get. And yeah, I want to see her very much do in Austin, like keep the character and just be turned by the fans, and it just be like a seamless transition.
Yeah, I think that actually does make a lot of sense. And I know, typically you want clear cut, baby faces and heels. And, you can have those tweeners. That's fine. They're as long as they're few and far between, because I think, not to do a comparison, I think that's another issue that WWE has right now, especially in its women's division, is there are a lot of people, we don't know what they are, but Britt Baker works. She just works, and the way that she has manipulated this promo and her wording, she can go with ebbs and flow of anything, and depending on the crowd reaction, she can just be, and she's absolutely fantastic. She has helped elevate that women's division, and I think has become not only the face of the women's division, but I think she is the face of AEW, which is saying something considering some of the stars that they are creating and already have there, and the new people they brought in as well.
Yeah, she's definitely up in that top tier in AEW, 100% the face of the women's division, but she is at least like maybe even the second biggest star. Kenny obviously has belts, but yeah, she's just done such an incredible job. It's amazing to think that she was ever not this person. You know what I mean? From like how she started. It's
Nyla Rose, though. What do you think of Nyla Rose is the person they've put up against her? That's the odd piece out for me. I'm not saying Nyla isn't fitting for that role, but the wheel of media consumption, this isn't just a wrestling thing. This is the wheel of consumption that we have with media. Everyone's like, how come they don't have these long, drawn-out storylines anymore? Because we eat it up so much faster. The book is thicker, and we read it faster than we used to. They've had her in this position already twice, near the title. I'm not saying she can't be there again, but it doesn't feel like a hot hand to put there with Britt. The issue is you had Britt as a great hubris-filled heel. I deserve this. I took it. I went and got it. And if you don't like it, you have to deal with it. We don't have anyone to cheer for. Am I supposed to cheer for Nyla Rose, who's like attacking people from behind and power bombing people through like tables and stuff like that? It just feels like heel booking. The characters are hot and exciting, but if I'm just turning the show on, who's the hero? That's what I'm saying. Like if I'm flipping it on, like where am I supposed to jump in here? The characters are fun. The reactions are really cool, but there's some inconsistency there with the pairings. I think there's somebody else they could have built up for. The Thunder Rosa element was absolutely fantastic. You almost wish they had that match down in front of crowds, but that's the only odd piece out for me. I'm not saying it's the worst, but I don't know. I think they have a deeper roster. They have some other people they could have played with here.
I think that Nyla, unfortunately, is a challenger to tide Britt over. Like, I think it's going to be, we'll have this match next week, and that'll be it. And then coming up, you've got a show in Pittsburgh, which is going to be huge for Britt. You have the pay-per-view, you have Arthur Ashe Stadium, and I think that's when you're going to get a challenger and a storyline that's going to be really, really hot. You're going to get like a Thunder Rosa, or build up a really great baby face you can get behind, like a Ty Conte, where you're not wondering who's the face and the heel. So I think Nyla's in an unfortunate position. She's in the Kane position of being that first challenger that like kind of tied over, and no one really thinks Nyla's going to win. I think another reason they picked her as well is because she has Vicky, and that's the kind of back and forth you can get Britt and Vicky to do. And yeah, I think Nyla is the Kane in this situation right now.
That's a very appropriate comparison there. It makes complete
Thank
sense.
you.
One person who is already incredibly over in just his second appearance is Malachi Black. I am still baffled.
Wait, is it Tommy End or Malachi Black? Because they said both names 5 times.
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think last night Cody was like, "Hey, I know Tommy End. I don't know who this a-hole is who attacked me and Arn Anderson.
I don't know who this a-hole is that's been on television for the last 2 years.
that is,
you know, I don't know who he is, but he brought his smoke machine over from the other place.
Yes, he did. A lot of similarities there between Alistair and Malachi for sure, but I don't give a damn. I'm just so happy we get to see this guy work on weekly television again. I don't know how WWE screwed this up so badly that they just let this guy walk out the door. But that exchange last night with Cody was absolutely incredible. And frankly, I think this is exactly what Cody needed, because I think for a lot of fans out there, at least what I could gauge on the internet, he was starting to get a little bit stale. But this has heated him right back up, and I think this is a perfect introduction for Mr. Malachi Black.
I thought that this segment was great. So I have fears about Malachi Black. I'm not scared of him in the way he wants me to be. I'm scared of him of what his creative ideas are. So he's carrying over some stuff from WWE here. He's got his eye, he's got his dark room, stuff like that. And it's as if he wants this kind of continuity. I am very worried about where he'll take things. I hope he doesn't take things to any kind of supernatural level or anything like that. If he just wants to be a dark goth guy that has great kicks, then that's awesome. If he wants to do
you're getting your spooky, Steph. You're getting your spooky. This man turned the lights out. He's using all of his tricks. All right. He'll be angry there was a coffin match on the show. All right. You're gonna have fireballs being thrown at people. They're doing all the shenanigans that he couldn't do as the Dark Father. Whatever he was supposed to do with the Dark Father, he's gonna get an Atlanta version of that. He's gonna get WCW version.
That's what worries me.
I'm literally over here laughing internally just because I'm remembering a conversation that Stephanie and I had a while back, a debate about the swamp fight, and I'm just remembering everything.
Yeah. Dude, I hate that rubbish. It's like, I just want to say to him, look, man, I'm sorry that what you wanted to do in WWE didn't work out, but get over it. Okay, your show got canceled. You're moving on to a new show. You can't play the same character.
Hey, can you put your hands up? I want to see if your claws are out.
I just the whole segment was so great, except for his horse story, where I'm like, what are you doing, man? You had Cody come out with such fire, showing absolute fire.
Definitely,
give me Malachi Black now. And he comes out and he's like, I will slow this down with a story about a horse. No, it's not what I want to see.
So the horse bit didn't do with you. Maybe there were some horse girls out there. We know there's some horse girls that are fond of horses that didn't like that, and that's what he's going for. So a guy's watching this show with his girlfriend, and she's flipping through, another copy of Black Beauty, and she goes, "What? How dare you say that about a beautiful stallion?"
I was too bored to feel anything for that horse.
when you can't get a woman to be romantic about a beautiful animal like a horse, then it's over with. It's over with. No,
that's not what I'd be writing.
I know what you're going for. I like the look of it. I like the black suit and the white suit. I know what they were understanding
last night.
It was very, very simple and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
There were some nitpicky things about it, like Cody can just come out and interrupt the show and take over the show and cut promos and like come off
His
like
company, man, basically.
yeah, but that's what a heel does. like, you know, like that's what a heel does.
But that's what Cody's like. That's who Cody is, because Cody in the universe, Cody is a executive in this company, but he's like the guy that doesn't realize that could be a negative. He's you know, he's like the baby face that's like, I'm so rich, isn't that fantastic? You know,
so
when usually that would be like a heel move. Don't do him that dirty. Don't compare him to Triple H and do him that dirty.
Why? He's Triple H though. Then
I don't agree.
He's the executive who's proud of his company and his family, and he's proud of it. And he wears tailored suits, and he has cool tattoos. I'm rich, but I still like heavy metal stuff. Like that's easy. He's Triple H. I'm gonna get it in the comments. How dare you say that
Triple
this
H
is a rebel brand?
Like heavy metal. The greatest trick that the devil Triple H ever did was making you all believe he was a heavy metal fan.
Oh, come on. You don't think he's legitimately friends with the Motorhead crew and all those guys? I think he's all right. It's fine.
I think he knows Motorhead, and that's all. That's as far as
that's all right. Hey, he had a great song. There's a lot going on. We'll talk more here about Fyter Fest before we move ahead. I do want to sneak in plugs if we could. John Cena versus CM Punk at Money in the Bank is one of the best matches I've ever seen. We're doing a really cool watch along of that Saturday. Awesome. That is coming up at 1:30 Eastern, and we got to change the graphics on this. They'll be coming at 1:30 Eastern, and that'll be this afternoon or Saturday afternoon. You want to make sure you have your notifications on for that. And then Sunday afternoon, this will be exclusive on our Facebook feed, not on our YouTube. This will be a Money in the Bank trivia challenge. I'm going to kick Jose Gonzalez's ass. I just know that's going to happen. I'm sorry if I'm giving a spoiler away in that regard.
Not a prediction. It's a spoiler.
It's a spoiler. All right. And that's coming up, and you'll be able to play along in the chat and win prizes with us. So definitely check that out. That's going to be over on our Facebook feed. So Fyter Fest. Do want to talk about this. The continued collaboration between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling was on display, though it was really on display with guys that a lot of people are familiar with almost exclusively the past few months on AEW television. Jon Moxley defended the strap against Carl Anderson, who's very much a New Japan guy. He was created there, came over to WWE, signed to do with Impact, now has this kind of triple duality where he can kind of wrestle everywhere. It's exciting. It's different. This is a fun match. Jon Moxley goes over clean. I love the wild intro. I love neutralizing Gallows from ringside and Eddie Kingston in Moxley's corner, kind of taking care of that and just letting the guys have a great match. Just have yourself a barn burner match in front of a live crowd. I still think that's something we're going to get used to for the next few months, is always open up these shows hot and remind yourself, like, part of the pyrotechnics of this is just a crowd roaring and popping for different wrestling moves.
It was such a hot open. Like, Moxley himself was so hyped from the energy of those people. Mm-hmm. He wanted to swim in the masses, you know, and just sink it all in. But Kingston, like, talk about people being over. I'm at the point where I'm wondering, will Kingston very soon be more over than Moxley, because the reaction Kingston got was so good, and it's only going to get better when they get more closer to like New York territory with this guy. But really good match, hot opener. I've been a Carl Anderson fan for a long time, and it was really good to see him in singles action, you know, getting back to the machine gun. Thought it was awesome.
Proud Cincinnati guy over here, by the way. Both guys from so that was nice. Kind of match that I feel like I needed to put my Reds hat on and have some cheese conies while I was watching it. But man, one of the things that I questioned was when Mox changed his ring music to Wild Thing. Holy shit, does that thing work with a hot crowd? It's like the super major league every freaking week. It was such a brilliant move. Same thing with Jungle Boy, and I don't know the name of the song, forgive me, but just using the licensed music. Holy crap, does that work? It's an absolute, and it is quite a scene. That was the hot. I mean, all you have to do is hit Wild Thing to open up the show, and that crowd's immediately hot. Yeah, it was insane. Insane opener, insane closer as well last night. Darby Allin, Steph, is a stud. I've never seen anybody move as quickly in the ring as he does. The coffin drop onto the coffin was an insane spot. Incredibly, considering how narrow that coffin was, and he had to hit it perfectly or else he's getting a spine full of 2x4s. Insane that he hits it perfect. It's a great way to close the show. But I can't help and look at the match and look at, you know, trying to build up Ethan Page here and wondering if the wrong guy went over. I think this is a kind of match, circumstances given, where Darby could have lost and still been okay. I'm not saying he's bulletproof by any stretch, but I think Ethan needed that win a little bit more. Your thoughts on the main event last night?
It was an incredible match. I thought it was such an awesome closer. I can see that Ethan probably does need a win. However, I felt like this was very much a leave on a happy high note decision, you know, with that crowd there. And AEW do give the fans what they want. It's something that we criticize WWE for not doing, and they really do deliver them on that. And you know, there shouldn't be a Disney ending all the time, but sometimes it's right to, and it's good that they can actually provide that. Like anything I said about Malachi Black is not applicable to Darby Allin, because he does things right. Because this is just a guy that's into dark things, that has a connection to the macabre, to death, and he doesn't then make it into sorcery or anything like that. He doesn't go down that road. He just gives us really cool visuals with his awesome dad sting, and I love that. And there are some great spots. I saw some people criticize that Darby, as the underdog face, comes out with this back protector on, but I thought that was very cool and very Darby, because although Darby's a good guy, he's made it very clear that he'll do anything to hurt you, like absolutely anything. And he can do that because he'll take so much pain himself that he just feeds off pain. So I thought that was fine. The ending was great. I thought the coffin match worked so well because it was so untraditional. It wasn't the way that we'd seen Undertaker casket matches go, where it's like a lot of very forced spots around, can you get me in the coffin? I'm half in the coffin, I'm not in the coffin, like that kind of thing. They took this all around the place, up into the stands, engaged the audience, which sadly happened during the break if you weren't watching on Fight TV, which was kind of unfortunate. But in the end, really good. And then just that ending of him just doing the drop in the coffin, skill, wonderful visual. There were black roses in that coffin as well. My teenage heart was very happy with this, aesthetically how it looked.
By the way, I might be the only person on the entire planet who saw him wearing that back shield, and immediately my mind went to Ninja Turtle Secret of the Ooze. Okay, now I need Sting putting on one of those, and they create the scene where they just squash Tatsu between their shells. That's immediately where my mind went, and that just gives you an insight of the type of person I am.
Stephanie, it has been so fantastic checking up with you, and we would love to have you on again and have this perspective.
Thank you.
We may not agree on everything, but I don't want everyone on the show who agrees with me. That would just be boring.
Absolutely.
As it is anyway, so we need somebody who.
If you ever need a bad guy, I'm here.
Hey! I'll go play the American blowhard over in the UK. If you want me to go work the territories, we'll do that.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. I'll come in and interrupt the show, just take over. It's wait, do we have the hard cam? Do we have the hard cam? We get what you're saying, buddy. Okay, we get it. You're talking to the truck. Stephanie, tell them about what content you're doing for WrestleTalk and what you have going on and where people can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Wrestling Daily. That's part of WrestleTalk every Thursday at 8 p.m. UK time. So at the top of the next hour, whatever that is.
It'll be right after we're done here.
Yeah. So that's on Wrestling Daily's YouTube channel. Me and Alex McCarthy, we review Dynamite and all the news of that day. And then I have my own YouTube channel, Stephanie Chase Wrestling. Absolutely check it out right now, because I interviewed all of the best friends, Chuck, Trent, Chris, and Orange Cassidy, all together. It all spoke. Orange Cassidy spoke. It was great. Really fun interview, 30 minutes or so. That's up on my YouTube to watch. And ahead of Slammiversary, Deonna Purrazzo, one of my absolute favorite wrestlers, she's up there as well.
Absolutely fantastic, Stephanie. Thank you so much for the time. Love to see the hustle, and definitely we'll definitely be talking to you again in the future at these things, when things start to open up. Hoping you guys get your big show, your big that big stadium show that we've heard about in the UK for quite some time. We've heard about that. That is on the horizon sometime next year.
That.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely. I know, Rick, you and I had Mr. Drew McIntyre on, and that was something he definitely talked about. So if that becomes official, I think that's a time that we definitely have to talk to you again when that comes around. Stephanie, thank you for the time.
Thanks, Steph. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Appreciate it. Great chat with her. Absolutely fantastic. Good to hear from our friends over in the UK, hustling along. This is something where this is my guilt. This is my guilt, right? I feel bad that we get live wrestling here in the States again. I felt that way even in the fall of last year. I was working shows. We didn't even have the vaccine. I was doing the AEW shows. You were busy in Ohio as well. And this is something where I'm like, I kind of feel bad for my friends overseas that I talk to and stuff like that.
When I went to Mania in April, man, I have never gotten more jealousy towards me than that time, because I was going to a live wrestling show. Like, I had Alex McCarthy and other people hitting me up in my DMs going, I have to hate you, man. Hey, you want to come on my show and talk about it? You're going to be there? I'm like, yes, absolutely, I will. I will wholeheartedly do that. And I'm looking forward to going to SummerSlam too. So I'm going to be in Vegas. I got that book, baby. I'm going to be in Vegas on behalf of Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm looking forward to that. And maybe
are you coming to Chicago for All Out? Are you doing All Out as well?
I'm trying. I'm waiting.
All right. I know I'm going to be at All Out.
Emails. Let's just
I had to choose between SummerSlam or All Out. And I was like, I'm going to go with All Out because I'll just have to pay for the hotel an hour and a half away.
You drive like 45 minutes away, and you're
have it be known, when they say that show is in Chicago, it's like an hour and a half away from Chicago. Yeah. So what are you going to do?
Oh, yeah.
Texas is the episode.
Schaumburg, Illinois.
Schaumburg. Yes. You have to throw that extra Midwestern A in there. The center of the wrestling world this weekend is the Texas Panhandle, basically here. It is going to be very, very busy. We had Austin last night, Houston on Friday, and then following up as well in the weekend, they will have Money in the Bank and a Monday Night Raw, the first Monday Night Raw in front of the crowd. Big surprises are expected over the weekend.
Hell yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, no, I just said hell yeah. There better be some big damn surprises. Like this.
There will be.
This is the time to effing bring it, man. Like, you guys have been slow playing. It has been a slow burn. You have literally given us the same stuff, and I'm not going to call it shit. I almost called it shit because it's not been bad. It's just been the same stuff. I mean, how many times have we seen Big E and Apollo in the ring with each other? How many times have we seen
as much as people go off on those things, there's been so many different times where I want to say it came up until like last summer where you saw a lot of repetition. And I think if we step back from the Thunderdome era and we get really far away and we talk about a greater level of vaccination, a lot more safety and stuff like that, because there's still a lot of, we have the Delta variant, different things like that. I think a lot of those, why is so much repeating? Why aren't we seeing these people on TV? A lot of it's going to line up with people saying, I was exposed to COVID and I couldn't be in the ring for 6 weeks. So then we had to drop the storyline. I think that's going to happen across the board, Or
people, personal preference didn't want to be there, and that's the one.
Roman Reigns didn't want to be there for like 9 months.
Yeah. For the last 16 months, that has been one of the biggest things that I have, that has been one of those big things that anytime somebody disappears or if something doesn't make sense, because there has been a lot of things that have not made sense. It's always been, okay, you got to think there is probably a good reason for this, and it's none of our business to know what it is. So if somebody just disappeared for a time, it's they either had it or they didn't want to be there because they didn't want to get it,
or they're exposed to it,
or it's fine. The people who were able to be there were going to be there. That was going to be the big thing. And that's one of those things, like, I even forget it sometimes. Like, Damian Priest was off TV for like 6 weeks, and I'm screaming, what are you effers doing? And then all of a sudden, like, it hits me. It's like, maybe there's a reason he's out. Maybe he's hurt. Maybe there's something else
or
going
he's filming something, or he's doing a TV show or something like that. You have other people doing stuff like that.
Yeah, there's always a reason behind it. It's not always, damn it, man, they're burying my favorite. And I get it. I have to take a step back and think about it sometimes too. But here we are. We're back in front of live crowds. We know everybody is amped up and excited for that. I've spoken to two WWE superstars this week who both expressed their excitement to me. One being Natalya. You'll hear my conversation with her coming up here in just a few minutes. And two, right before we recorded, I wrapped up a very lovely conversation with Nikki Ash, and I can't wait for that to drop tomorrow.
Is she a superhero yet?
She is still almost a superhero.
Okay.
Almost
Okay.
And I am almost a capable talk show host. So it was kind of a mix. It was kind of a good vibe there. And it was a great conversation, a fun conversation with Nikki. And that will drop tomorrow on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel.
What are the surprises? No, I know we have to do this because surprises are not always people coming back. All right. We're conditioned to surprises is Royal Rumble is 3, 2, 1, and who's coming back and who comes through the curtain. There's plenty of, let's just talk about potential returns here. All right. Let's just run through the gamut of those. On the table of potential returns that are reported, it is a lock, according to Dave Meltzer and several people close to him at the Wrestling Observer, that John Cena is coming back and is going to be involved in some way or another in a match with Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Do you pull that trigger this Friday on SmackDown? I say you do. I say if you don't have him there, you at least do something filmed. You do something. And you may have Edge get pissed off about it, and he can just ride that right into Sunday when you have Edge versus Reigns this Sunday. We'll run down the whole card of Money in the Bank, but do you pull the Cena card now, or do you wait until next week?
I say you wait until next week for one very important reason. I'm going to be in Cleveland for SmackDown. So I think you wait until the 23rd. You bring him to Cleveland, not Miami, damn it. You bring him to Cleveland, Ohio. Where
you have to explain that to him. Explain the Miami thing to them. Maybe
so
not.
It's doing a split show that first SmackDown afterwards. And I think a couple of matches are taking place at this music festival, this hip hop festival in Miami. The rest of the show is going to be in Cleveland. So damn it, bring John Cena to Cleveland, because if you bring him back on the show, I'm at, you put him in Miami, I am going to be.
How mad are you going to be if they do the thing where Reigns is in Ohio and Cena pops up in Miami and they have to do the promo coast to coast?
I don't think they're going to do that. But no, more importantly,
you don't know that. You don't know.
I don't. And I'm not just sitting here saying that Cena needs to be in, the week after because I'm going to be in Cleveland. That's just the joke. Yeah. But seriously, he needs to be in Cleveland because I'm going to be in Cleveland. Anyway, I think it just makes a whole lot of sense to give Edge and Reigns its proper storyline and its proper conclusion on Sunday. And then Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns come down. You know the spiel. We've beaten everybody now. There's nobody left for the tribal chief. We're just going to take our ball and go home and wait until somebody who's more worthy shows up. Crowd goes effing nuts. And
come on.
You get the face off. You get John Cena on the microphone. He starts tearing down Roman Reigns. You know how it works. I think that's the best way to go. If I'm looking at a slam dunk return this weekend, if I'm looking at somebody who I would be stunned if they don't show up on either Friday on SmackDown or at Money in the Bank on Sunday, it's Becky Lynch. That seems to me, if she's ready to return, huge caveat on that, because we don't know. She may just not be ready to return, and that is perfectly fine. She'll return in her own time. But if they were holding her off for a moment, now's it. What if you just opened up the show on SmackDown on Friday and said, hey, welcome to Friday Night SmackDown, and before anything else happens,
wow,
you hear that downbeat.
Yeah, exactly.
You hear that downbeat, and the crowd effing blows up. It would be the same thing you just had with AEW and Moxley and them dropping Wild Thing, except it's here's Becky, who we had.
And also, it would make social media go nuts. It's WWE's biggest microphone is their fans, and it would make them go absolutely crazy. I think that'd be the way to go. Does Sasha Banks return this weekend? We haven't seen her since WrestleMania.
I would think that's another very likely scenario. You got to remember, we have somebody who needs to be added to the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Is it Sasha Banks? Could it be Becky Lynch? Will Sonya Deville throw herself in there? That was a report that came out from Fightful this week. Sean Ross Epp on it as always. Dude, don't miss. Saying that there were at least some conversations that Sonya Deville was penciled in for the Money in the Bank ladder match. This is a scenario.
And that's a surprise. Sonya Deville coming back would file into that surprise thing. Everyone thinks it's just these returns from people you haven't seen in a long time. Sonya's been on TV actively wearing the best tailored suits in all of wrestling right now.
Looks damn
goddamn, so good. Not cheap either. Not cheap.
Oh, no, her drip game, I think that's what it's called, drip game.
Yeah,
I think that's
is that what the kids are calling it? Are they calling it drip game?
I'm hip. I'm with it. I still think your WrestleMania 38 main event needs to be a walk-off between Seth Rollins and Sonya Deville. I still think that's the way that you gotta go. You just do the fashion show and that's it. No, of course I'm not being serious, but I still want to actually see that on television. I think that would be great. If I ever get a chance to talk to one of them, I'm going to bring up that idea. I'm going to manifest that, okay, into fruition. I think that's something we all need. But I would love it if Sonya Deville got back in the ring this weekend. Absolutely love it. I think it makes a lot of sense with the Liv Morgan storyline.
So we hear the reports are WWE's doing some big things. They're going to have new sets for Monday Night Raw. They're going to have new looks for SmackDown. I know diehard fans will like that. Do you think they've built up an expectation for this weekend that is unreachable? Or is it going to be something where they're going to be like, hey, we can't just blow everything out this weekend. We have a lot of time to go before we get to SummerSlam. We have shows that we got to sell after that. I could see, but I could also see them saying like, you know what? Throw it all at the wall in this short period of time, and let's ride that momentum as hard as we can and use the talent we have. I think it's a little bit of column A, column B, because I think they're going to want both Raw and SmackDown to feel completely recharged coming out of this weekend.
So here's part of the thing is the bar right now, like if we're looking at stock, and this is something I said last week, if we're looking at stock, AEW is up here. Like it's $100 a share. Like you should have bought it months ago. If you look at WWE, it's more like $30 a share right now. It's
come on.
It is. They have set the bar low.
That's a reach.
They have set the bar low. I'm just making a comparison.
No, but that's a reach, Rick.
The bar is low here. All right. So they're not going to have to try too terribly hard to make it better than what it has been. I think everybody's ready for some new stuff, some revamped stuff. But also, you look at the hot crowds that AEW has been having. You look at people who you have built up hype for this weekend. I can't remember the last time people were this hyped up for a WWE weekend. Man, you got to go full fireworks finale where dudes are just chucking every bomb they got in the car, lighting them up, and just blowing everything up in the sky. You pull out all the stops.
That's another thing. We have 2 ladder matches this weekend.
Yes. You tell everybody. WWE is back, motherfucker. We are back. We are here. We are the best damn wrestling company in the world.
I have to click the explicit button now.
Sorry. Sure. We are back. That's what I want out of WWE this weekend. I am hyped up. You got me. You got me hooked. You got my money this weekend for Money in the Bank. Now you got to deliver. I don't know if it's an unobtainable target to hit, but WWE is good, man. They are unbeatable. They know how to put on great television. They know the pay-per-views are going to be good.
Do you think we're at this point where there's just so many things that they've been waiting to pull the card on in terms of certain people coming back, certain storyline payoffs and other stuff like that? I think there's plenty of stuff like that.
They have been waiting for ticket sales. They have been waiting for live crowds. They have been waiting. Because, I mean, think about it. If you would have brought Becky Lynch back at, WrestleMania, she would have got the pop. There's only 25,000 people there. If you bring her back at any of the other pay-per-views we've seen, a Thunderdome pop? Are you kidding me? Like, I still hate the fact that Christian's Royal Rumble return happened in front of TV screens because he deserved just as big as a pop as Edge got the year prior. Like, waiting until the crowds are back for Becky Lynch, that makes a ton of sense. Waiting until John Cena comes back, who he himself has said, I don't think I would thrive in a Thunderdome because I need the audience. I think...
there's another guy who said he wouldn't come back unless there was fans, too. Another guy.
No, not Brock. I did my best to try and do his theme music there. That probably sucked.
A certain man who has a cult of personality.
Stop.
I think it'll be Brock. Of those two that we just presented.
Also a guy who said, "Hey, I don't want to wrestle anybody in WWE, and if you're going to bring me back, it's going to require a big bag. And by big bag, I mean all the money, all of the money. And
who's got more money?
And if they brought it back to WWE, they would instantly go, okay, well, we need you to feud with Triple H because that's what makes sense from 7 years ago. And he's going to be like, F you, I'm out of here. Like, he wants to wrestle new people.
Who says he has to feud with any of those people?
I would be stunned. I would be absolutely stunned.
Isn't that what we're going for?
I would put more money.
Aren't we going for?
If you're going to make a bet with me, I would put money that he shows up in AEW.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Oh, Rick, I don't deny that. But I mean, if we're just talking about balls to the wall surprises, if we're talking about a guy who loves to flip the table, right? I almost did what you did. All right. I'm a comedian. I save my swears for comedy. All right. I don't waste.
I'm a radio guy. I save them for where I'm upset at work.
All right. I'll fuck around then. So, I mean, if you want to be crazy, let's get crazy. I'm not saying it's going to happen. This isn't the guy from Sportskeeda saying, no, I'm not.
Kev Kellam has now reported that CM Punk is WWE bound.
Fine. Let WrestlingNews.tv go report that. That's Wrestling News with 5 Z's.
You know, I'll bring up another guy who might show up this weekend. Is Daniel Bryan. That might be a guy who could show up.
I would love that. I have 4 Daniel Bryan t-shirts in this closet right now. I gotta wear them.
I would not be stunned if he showed up on Monday Night Raw. We know he can't be a part of SmackDown anymore. Money in the Bank comes out. Maybe that's a way that you get the first weekend with live crowds, and we're not going to get a yes chant.
And you know what? It makes sense for him to come over to Raw in terms of the makeup of what they have, in terms of they need a hot baby face that feels like that could hang with Bobby Lashley. And I actually think that'd be a really great complement of styles in terms of their physicality and different things they could do and stuff like that. That isn't to say that Lashley's, coming out of this weekend without losing that title. Now that you have briefcases, you have fresh cash-in briefcases.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in our Money in the Bank preview. I got some ideas.
All right.
No brain.
Speaking of Money in the Bank, let's get to this. She is, without a shadow of a doubt, a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Time out. Hashtag boat. Best of all time.
Boat. The best of all time. She has the most victories of any female superstar in the history of WWE. Think about that. The most. All right. She has been a part of WWE television on a global scale since 2007. Think of the longevity of that.
Think of freshman year in college.
Oh man, I was just graduating. I'm an older man. I'm just wrapping up.
Well, I mean, look at the hair.
She comes from the lineage of the Hart family, and really brings that Dudgeon vibe on. She is the daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, but she's truly her own legendary figure. And she could retire tomorrow and be a first Hall
and be in, hands down.
She's one of those people where I think her last match, someone should walk up to her and say, "Here's your Hall of Fame ring." Like, she should just get it right away. She's that good.
She's an absolutely wonderful person to talk to. Now, I do have to put an asterisk on this. I did this remotely again, much like my Johnny Gargano interview, which is still up on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel as well. Spoke to him on Monday prior to his title match with Karrion Kross, which we'll talk about here a little bit here coming up. But so I did it at work. I did a little double dipping, if you know what I'm saying. So I wanted to do the video, didn't want to do the phone call stuff because I think video plays better, obviously. Well, the old Wi-Fi ain't the best at the WLW studio.
The old Wi-Fi.
The old Wi-Fi ain't the best. And almost at the exact same time, my conversation with Johnny Gargano about 13 minutes in, I lost connection and I dumped out. And it froze on the dumbest face I've ever seen myself make. On the just on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. You can check that out. About the 13-minute mark, I dump out. I was able to come back and say bye, basically. The exact same thing happened again with Natalya. 13-minute mark. At least this time I didn't look like I had resting bitch face when I froze. So when she's answering the final question, I have froze on my driver's license photo face. And you'll if you're watching. If you're just listening to it, you're not going to notice that I dropped out. But man, I'll tell you what, both her and Johnny did the exact same thing because I come back and we're still recording, and it's just them going, I think he dropped out. Hello? If
you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, definitely go check out your interview with Johnny Gargano. By the way, I know I'm plugging an interview while we're about to premiere one right now.
He was right about Loki. So spoiler alerts.
I haven't even watched a single episode of it. Thanks for giving it away there, Rick.
All right, let's get to it. Here is the best of all time. Hashtag boat. Natalya, obviously ahead of a huge weekend, getting back out on the road.
Weekend ahead, it's here. Can you believe it? Back out on the road again, live crowds, authentic reactions. Can you even put into words how excited you are?
We haven't had a show with fans since WrestleMania. And for me, that was such an emotional time to be, after 16 months of not performing in front of fans. I look back at WrestleMania, and at that point it was over a year. So now we're just so excited. Like it's such an emotional time. It's such a special time. It's just like, everybody just wanted this so much. We all wanted to get back. And there's just nothing like performing in front of a live crowd. And of course, in WWE, we did whatever it takes. Over the last 16 months, we we had our virtual audience, we kept going, we kept moving, we kept pushing through, but to have them back in person, like, I'm so excited for Houston. I can't wait. It's just going to be so special. I feel like it's Christmas in July.
You brought up WrestleMania 37 in Tampa, Raymond James Stadium. I was there. I was in the press box. You actually got to work both nights of the show this year. And, you, especially on night 2, you could hear thousands of fans in attendance screaming for you and Tamina to win the women's tag team titles. That had to be, you talk about it already being an emotional night. That had to be huge for you guys, especially for Tamina, for the crowd to just be behind you guys like that.
Oh, that was so special. And just for Tamina to have, it's crazy because sometimes you can't really gauge, how an audience feels about you until you're in front of them. And of course, with the virtual audience, we've all been trying to make it work. But when she heard, the crowd, when she heard, 25,000 people chanting her name, it was like nothing she'd ever experienced before. And I think for her, it was even like an out of body, like very surreal moment where she was like, literally like, she was like the ugly duckling that transformed into the swan, where she was finally getting the spotlight that she had never gotten before. And for me to watch that happen for her, whether we were playing the role of good guys or bad guys, girls, it was so cool to see that and just to have everybody get behind her. And that's the beauty of the WWE audience. Yeah. That's the beauty of having fans, is that they're going to tell you whether they like you, hate you, they're going to boo you, cheer you. They're going to feel something for you. And that's the energy that we all feed off of as far as being live performers. So it was just very special. WrestleMania was very special. Of course, this Friday with SmackDown being in Houston, I'm just so excited. Like, I feel like it hasn't even really sunk in yet, like what it's going to be like to get back in front of the fans. Like, no matter what character or what role I'm playing, I just want to like embrace them and take it in and let them know that I never took them for granted.
You spent years living that superstar life, 300 plus days on the road, different city every night. Then last year it all came to a halt. You're doing, shows in front of empty seats and TV screens in basically the same location. That's a major adjustment. Now you have to adjust again. How difficult was that transition? And are you expecting some road rust, shall we call it, this time around?
Well, for me, I mean, I'm very, very lucky as far as road rust goes because, I may not have been on an airplane a whole lot in the last year, but I was lucky enough to have my own ring. I have my own dungeon that I've been training in multiple times a week. So I've been just staying as fine-tuned as I possibly can. And I really have like, having my own ring to train in, it's just given me like a totally revived perspective on everything. Of course, it will be a little challenging getting back into the airports again, but it's nothing we haven't been through before. It's kind of like riding a bike. If you haven't done that in a while, you just get back into the groove. And that's the thing about WWE. And that's why we, are doing what we're doing in the company. We never stopped during the pandemic. We never wavered. We just kept going because we always adapt. We adapt so much to the changes in front of us. And I've said that this entire time. The survival of the fittest isn't who's the strongest. It's about who can adapt to all the changes in front of them. So, thankfully WWE was very much a digital company prior to the pandemic. So for us to do virtual stuff, to have a virtual audience, it was definitely a transition, but we were able to adapt. And now that we're going back to having live fans, we're going to adapt to that too. There's nothing better than the real thing. So yes. It's exciting. We have a lot of enthusiasm for it. We're just like, everybody's just so excited for it.
Yeah, everybody's happy the Thunderdome era is over. It's like, thank you for your service in a trying time, but now it's time to get back to the real thing. But, are there any, favorite memories or moments from the Thunderdome? Anything you're actually going to miss?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm going to miss driving from my house to work. That's one thing I'm going to miss because I live in Tampa. So the Thunderdome was in Tampa and then it was also in Orlando, which is just a drive for me. So it was like the first time in over a decade that I was able to like sleep in my own bed every night and like wake up and have coffee in my kitchen. And that was really cool. But it just, when you're performing, like I would rather get on a flight at 5 o'clock in the morning, travel all the way to Texas or Houston or California or Canada or Germany. I would rather do that any day of the week to have fans. Because as a performer, I need that. I need them. We need them. We need their energy. We need their adrenaline. We need that rush. And like, we need that gratification of, them cheering us, booing us. Like, that's my favorite part of the job, is engaging with the audience. Even just walking into an arena and, seeing the fans outside the arena and taking selfies and interacting with them. I love that. So I will miss driving from home to work, but I'm looking forward to the trade-off. And of course, I think it is worth saying that one of the biggest superstars of the Thunderdome era was Bayley. And it's unfortunate that she got hurt, but she really made work better. She made work better for everyone, and she was just such a rock star during the Thunderdome era. And so I think she deserves like a special shout out, because she made, she just, even though she played the role of a bad girl on TV, she just made everything fun. And she reminded all of us that, like, hey, we may not have all of the resources that we want because we don't have our audience right in front of us, but let's interact with each other. Let's yell at Michael Cole. Let's be silly. Let's be goofy. Let's turn it up. Let's just make the best out of this. So she's truly been an inspiration to myself and so many others at work.
Yeah, that was such just especially since she didn't get a WrestleMania match this year, just pull the heart right out of your chest when that news broke 1 week away from fans being there. And yeah, man, I'm hoping she can adapt. Maybe put her at the commentary desk with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. I think that would be an explosive combination there. I would love to see that. But it is Monday Night Raw that is coming to Cincinnati September 27th at the Heritage Bank Center, the night after Extreme Rules in Columbus. So I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic show. Great fallout there. Tickets go on sale at 10 a.m. Now you are 10 a.m. this Friday. Now you are a SmackDown superstar, but you have the golden ticket. You got those women's tag team titles. You can bounce between either brand, and you and your partner Tamina. And all of a sudden now on both brands, we're starting to see this influx of new talent. We've seen Piper Niven, aka Doudrop, show up on Raw, and as you very well know, we have Nox and Shotzi who show up to add some depth to the women's tag team division there a little bit. So I'm sure you're ready for another crack at them. All of a sudden, maybe with a little bit of some surprise returns, fingers crossed, as we head. Looks like the women's division is getting ready to take over here as you guys get back on the road.
Yeah, I mean, it's. You bring up so many great points. I love that you love, I can tell you love WWE, and I can tell that you follow the product, because like, it is exciting to have, we have Nox, and we have Shotzi, we have Piper, we have Eva, we have all these new women coming into the division. Last week on SmackDown, we see that Toni Storm is also coming. So there's 5 new women that are coming in, and I think more to come. And it's exciting because I've prided myself on my, in my time in WWE, my career, which has been over a decade in the company, competing, and I'd say competing at the highest level in WWE, especially when we were on the road upwards of 300 days a year. That's one of my favorite parts of being a WWE superstar, is being able to see different talent come in and finding different ways to work with them. As you mentioned earlier, like competing against Rhea. If I wasn't the women's tag team champion, along with Tamina Snuka, I never would have had the chance or the opportunity to wrestle Rhea Ripley on Raw. But because I have that championship, I can go to both shows. I can go, those tag team championships, they're a passport to every corner of the WWE. So for me, like, I love that. I love taking on anyone and everyone and having no limitations. It's not like, it's just, for me, like, that's the best part of what we do. I want to face Shotzi in a singles match. I want to face Toni Storm. I want to face Nox in a singles match. I'll take on Eva. I'll take on Piper. I'll take them all on at once. I'll take them all in singles competition. We'll take them in a tag match. But when you get new talent, it's just exciting. You get to see a different side of them. And also, I can take all of my years of, training and expertise and just being surrounded and engulfed by the industry, and I can help them. So it's really cool. I can also remind them of who I am with the sharpshooter.
Yes. And final question here for you, because I know we're time limited. You're all over the place doing this media for big tour that's coming up. Money in the Bank is this weekend. You have been added to the Money in the Bank ladder match now. This will be your 5th Money in the Bank ladder match. The only one you missed was last year, if memory serves correct. So you didn't get to do the whole experience of shooting it at the WWE headquarters. Were you a little disappointed you didn't get to do that?
Last year, I was just rolling with the punches. It was such a crazy time. It's funny because you said I missed that last year. I was like, wait, did I last year, I'll be brutally honest, it was just such a blur with the pandemic. Because I feel like along with the rest of the world, all of us dealing with the pandemic, we were literally flying the plane as we were building it. Everybody was learning new information and just trying to figure out what was going on in the world. And like, now I look back, I'm like, wait, I missed the ladder match in Stanford. But this will be cool to get back. Sonya Deville announced via social media that I would be in the match on Monday, which was really cool because, I thought that I would have to buy her a Louis Vuitton purse to get in the match, but she decided that she would just announce it. So it's great. I think I'm going to bring a lot of experience to the match, but also there's no reason why I can't have it all. Just because I have the women's tag team championships doesn't mean that I can't go for the Raw women's championship. It doesn't mean I can't go for the SmackDown women's championship. It doesn't mean that I can't go for everything. So to win Money in the Bank and to get that contract would be really cool.
Oh, it cut off right there, Rick. Rick, are you giving me your caught in Wi-Fi like Phantom Zone face right now?
Like I said, that face was a lot better than the one I got stuck with with Johnny Gargano.
If you're living under a rock, WWE Money in the Bank is on Peacock in the United States this Sunday night. You can also catch it anywhere in the world in the WWE Network as well. And then, of course, Raw and SmackDown in the United States is back on the road, playing live arenas for the next few months. They've announced shows all the way into September and even far off into the fall as well. You can get your tickets through WWE.com. All the links, all the different places you can see where the shows are. Everything's right there. You don't have to go to all these different places to go to WWE.com. Has all of the info right from the source. Such a pleasure. So very candid and just, classy about it.
She is the first WWE superstar I ever interviewed. Ironically enough, or not fittingly enough, I should say, was also in Cincinnati for a Raw that was coming to Cincinnati. That's how this interview got set up, by the way. That's why I had the random plug for the Cincinnati Raw, September 27th, there at the Heritage Bank Center. But I also left that in there for a reason. And you're going to find out tomorrow morning or this morning, or already you may have found out, depending on when you're listening to this, 10 a.m. Friday, Eastern Standard Time, July 16th. Come to my Twitter page, at Rick Ucchino.
Why, Rick?
There will be an announcement, especially if you're in the Tri-County area, shall we say, or the Tri-State area here around the area of Cincinnati, Ohio. You're going to want to check out my Twitter page, at Rick Ucchino, 10 a.m. tomorrow. We'll leave that there. A little tease. 10 a.m. at Rick Ucchino, RICKUCCHINO.
Maybe there's something for you to go there and get or try to get.
Possibly. Oh, man, I wish I could say right here, right now. I'm not going to.
Couple more things to wrap up before we get out of here. Plenty to cover. Let's go through these fast. The fallout of Bayley's injury. We haven't really seen it just yet, but it hasn't really played out completely. It's a devastating injury, a very, very poorly timed injury. And Natalya even referenced it there, how much Bayley was just like an MVP for WWE during this time, that she really flourished.
Part of the stage. Yes.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Rick. There was a little bit.
No, this was just such a gut punch, man. This was just such an absolute gut punch. And I brought it up with Natalya. Bayley didn't get a WrestleMania match this year. Now, if it is a torn ACL, as Kevin cracks a cold one there. Now, if it is an ACL tear, which we haven't gotten an official word from WWE, there's a chance she's going to miss next year's WrestleMania, which absolutely sucks. She has, again, she's been the MVP of the entire pandemic era. I don't think there's debating that. And now she doesn't get to perform in front of fans for another 9 months minimum. It sucks. And we've already seen some fallout from it. Obviously, Carmella pulled from the Money in the Bank ladder match. Now she's going to face Bianca Friday night on SmackDown, as opposed to having a SmackDown Women's Championship match on Money in the Bank. So, I mean, that sucks, because at its basic point, I was looking forward to that I Quit match. That I Quit match was going to be lit, as the kids would say. And now we're getting, I mean, no knock against Carmella, but it's just like, Bayley and Carmella, or excuse me, Bianca and Carmella just does not get me as excited as an I Quit match between Bayley and Bianca would have been at Money in the Bank. That's the first of many dominoes here. I think that's also why you saw Shotzi and Knox get brought up this past week. And that's why I think you're going to start to see some more changes that are being made. Also, another random change that was made this week. Speaking of Natalya, she spent the last, few weeks feuding with Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. And now Mandy Rose is on NXT. Reports are she got traded for Aaliyah. So
yes, Aaliyah went off on Robert Stone, her longtime manager, at the end of her match, and also that got a great pop in the Capitol Wrestling Center. The crowd at the Capitol Wrestling Center just loved that, going off on him, and Robert Stone playing his heelish role, not wearing socks and designer shoes and just flopping all over the place like it's Memphis and he's Cornette. He played the role, and a big pop for Aaliyah. I think it's a good thing. Notice all of the call-ups are women. There was no shakeup with men. And I think WWE noticed like Bayley is such an anchoring point that it's like, all right, let's do some fresh things. And you were talking about this for a long time, but I loved the call-up of Shotzi and Tegan. I know it does. You spent all this time, if you were that part of that team at NXT, bringing Tegan, and she went through all these different injuries. But when are you going to do this? This is somebody who had 3 awful injuries, and there is that cringe that you talked about on the Smack Talk of, is she going to get hurt again? You got to have the opportunity. You got to run with it. You got to go to SmackDown. You got to go to Raw when you can.
I don't have a problem with Tegan Nox coming up. Not whatsoever. Injury history aside, I don't have a problem. Yeah. It's just the timing of all of this is curious. Yeah. It makes me believe that the Bayley injury had a lot to do with this.
Yes, because it sped everything up.
All this time doing these battery vignettes in NXT for Tegan Nox to come back. She costs Candice LeRae the tag team titles on Wednesday, and then 2 days later she is on SmackDown, and then there's no mention pretty much of Tegan Nox on NXT the following week. So there's not, unless they bring up Candice LeRae and split up the way, which I asked Johnny Gargano about this week again on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. That there's not going to be any payoff there. Shotzi and Ember Moon were a fantastic tag team. So now it's Shotzi and Tegan, who have tagged before, but you already had that ready-made tag team there that you could have just brought up. Part of me is wondering, again, not a report, pure speculation on my part, but part of me is wondering if they went to Ember and she said no. And given the way her last main roster run went, and the last time we saw her on SmackDown chasing the 24/7 championship and tearing her Achilles, I wouldn't blame her if she did say no, especially if she's enjoying what she's doing right now in NXT.
Yeah, and also there's just a little bit more of a shakeup, and she can be featured a little bit more in NXT. You can still make her a hot hand there and do some different things. So
she should win the women's championship again.
What about Mandy going there? I mean, Mandy shows up on NXT as a surprise. Yes. She just walks out in the middle of a match and just starts studying people in the ring. I thought it was clever. I thought it was unique. This is a Mandy Rose that has a little bit more poise, knows how to find the camera a little bit more. I'm not saying she's going to have a barn burner thing. She did have a rough go of it at WrestleMania, tripping during her entrance right there. And the match was this or that, right? But I've always admired that she's somebody who truly gives it 110% and has embraced this, came out of the Tough Enough system. I think this is a good role for her to be in. And I think someone like her could maybe get lost in the shuffle on Raw or SmackDown again. She's a featured player right away.
Yeah, my only complaint is, again, they broke up another tag team. So you just add Nox and Blackheart, or excuse me, Shotzi and Nox, whatever they're.
Who's showing up on Monday Night Raw on Monday? I mean, like
now, if you're bringing up Aaliyah, all right. So reportedly, you're bringing up Aaliyah. That's great because she's been in developmental or I hate saying that word, but she's been in NXT for so long. It's nice.
Long time, like what, 5-7 years?
Something I think 7 or 8. But I'm guessing. I'm just guessing there without looking that up. But she's been in NXT for a while, so it's great to see her get an opportunity to move up to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you just put her with Dana. Like Dana's the one who loses out here because I don't feel good about her prospects, moving forward. But you add a tag team and then you take another one away. So I mean, unless you're going to move forward still with this Dewdrop and Eva Marie, if it's to put them in the tag team division, you've split up so many. You've decimated the women's tag team division. So that's the only thing that I don't really like about it. And it was so random. We never got a payoff with Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose with Natalya and Tamina. So we didn't get that payoff at all. Man, I look at Mandy Rose and she's just one of those people that I'm always going to wonder what her trajectory would have been if it wasn't for everything that went down with Sonya Deville last year. She got the biggest win ever. The hottest feud, one of the hottest feuds last year was Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. She gets that big win at SummerSlam. Sonya Deville goes bye-bye for obvious reasons, terrible reasons. And then Mandy gets moved over to Raw, gets put in this tag team randomly where she should have gotten another big, honestly, should have gotten a singles push off of that. and now she's back on NXT. I'm wondering how things would have been different if they didn't play out the way they did last year.
Samoa Joe is a special guest referee on this week's NXT in a fantastic main event.
Yes, it was
a match I would put up against anything you saw this week on AEW as well. I thought both shows were absolutely fantastic and loved this angle. It was teased, it was teased, it was teased, and then it was paid off with another really cool tease. But still, all you had to do, was do this. So Kross decimates Gargano. Samoa Joe is the enforcer. He's been brought over to NXT. He was released from the main roster. William Regal reintroduces him to NXT and says, "You are not here to be a competitor. You can only get physical if you are physically provoked. You can only get into it with these guys. I want you to get order. I want you. We have too many people going off. I'm an older guy. I can't do this. So get in there and show them what for, right?" And he's choked out a couple of people. He's basically jaw-jacking with every main guy on the roster on the show. All right, but he's not.
Well, maybe we'll get him and Pete Dunne. Oh, maybe we'll get him and Adam Cole. Oh,
he's in everything.
We're gonna do 9 million stare-offs with Karrion Kross. Is it gonna happen? Hell yeah, it's gonna happen after this week. I don't know if Samoa Joe's been cleared. Obviously he's been cleared for some kind of physical action. You can't do that angle if we're not getting the match.
Nope.
We're getting the match. We have to get the match now.
You're getting the match. This is the confirmation you're getting the match. And I think maybe at some point, and you bring up speculation, you said, what if? This is now when. We're no longer what if Samoa Joe is coming back and what if he gets to have a match and could he have it? Now it's when is he having that match? He said it was going to happen. Now it's a matter of when are you going to get him coming out of this enforcer role? No longer a commentator. When are we getting badass Joe? When are we getting Samoa Joe kicking ass like he did in Ring of Honor? When are we getting Joe that was the NXT champion? When are we getting this guy who has, I mean this in the right way, the biggest chip on his shoulder right now, saying, you let me go. Even when you brought me here, you didn't sign me for a full-time deal. You let me still go work indies and do all these different things. And you have a guy who's coming in, refreshed, revived. He's not going to work a stupid style. He's not going to have to do other things that other people are going to have to do in the ring. He's going to have to be Samoa Joe, and he's going to punch people in the mouth. And guess what? He doesn't have to win matches to put on great matches. This guy is legit. You know what I mean? And it's going to be a great kick in the ass for NXT. While everything kind of shakes around and everyone has their different thing, he's very centered, collected character, and then when he goes off it means more because of the composure he has. I'm excited for this. This makes sense. Johnny Gargano is going to be fine. He's a very charismatic player. He completely evolved his acting into something else. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with Johnny losing the match. My whole question was, is Joe going to cost Karrion Kross the title? He did not. He did
called
not.
It right down the line. The line.
He did. He called it right down the middle. And
he didn't point to his referee shirt enough. When you're a special guest referee, you have to point to your shirt so they know.
Yeah, we call that the Mick Foley. Man, part of me's thinking, sitting here going, is this a little too soon? Because I love the enforcer angle of this, and I don't necessarily need Joe as a full-time competitor either. So I would not mind a scenario where it ends up being Kross and Joe, whenever the next takeover may be.
Sometime around SummerSlam.
Yeah, sometime around SummerSlam. If that's where you're going to go with this, to have Joe and Kross in an unsanctioned match, not even for the NXT championship, because I don't think Joe needs to win the NXT title. Have him in an unsanctioned fight that still plays the storyline that Samoa Joe's not cleared, even though he is cleared. You have him in an unsanctioned fight, and if Karrion Kross loses, he's gone from NXT. Joe beats Kross. However way, shape, or form, by hook or by crook, he beats Karrion Kross. Joe shows back up on Tuesday nights. Karrion Kross is gone. He's free to go to SmackDown or Raw or wherever. And Joe just lays the NXT championship down in the middle of the ring and goes, who wants it? And then we start the whole process over again. Tournament, Iron Man matches, whatever the hell it is.
And that works for NXT because it's so sports driven. It works for NXT. Let's run down the card for this Sunday. Money in the Bank.
Yes.
One of the most anticipated WWE pay-per-views. I would say almost as much as WrestleMania was this year, because you knew it was going to be in front of live fans. This will go down this weekend in Texas. SmackDown will be a very, very big show that'll reveal something, I think, special for this show and give it that last big, like the 48-hour ramp up to get into Sunday, and they'll use social media for that. So we'll get something added. I don't know what that'll be. Some different caveats, some appearance will be added. So if you're seeing this and something has changed with Money in the Bank, and things do change with Money in the Bank a lot, as we've seen in the past, there's a possibility here. Running down this card, what match pops out to you the most? Which one are you most looking forward to?
I would, I mean, you got to go with the 2 ladder matches, don't you?
Yeah.
For completely different reasons. One, I think the men's Money in the Bank ladder match is going to be insane. Just looking at the talent, Ricochet, John Morrison, we've seen what those two can do when they're in the same match. Seth Rollins is going to add a ton to this match. I was very happy to see him get in. I know people were pissed off Cesaro wasn't in it, but I think Rollins is going to add a lot. Nakamura being in it is great. You got the Beef and Big E and KO and Drew McIntyre, and then Riddle, who has been major league pushed, and I would consider the favorite for that match in there as well. He's going to do some special things, and he's going to take some big bumps. And then the women's Money in the Bank ladder match is the intriguing part, because I think there's a chance for somebody to get made here. I think there is a chance for somebody, a big baby face, to be elevated. Somebody like a Nikki Cross, somebody like a Liv Morgan, or, somebody to get, re-pushed, somebody we haven't seen in the main event scene in quite some time in Alexa Bliss. I think those would be my 3 big contenders right now. And then who is that final spot? Is it Sonya Deville? Is it Becky Lynch? Is it Sasha Banks? Because whomever it is may change the landscape completely of this match right now, because I would rank it Cross, Morgan, and Bliss as my top 3. And the other ones, they're going to add a lot to the match, but I don't think they're legit contenders right now.
All right. I think you save that surprise until Sunday, if whoever that person is that can show up. I don't think you have to give it all away.
If it's Becky or Sasha, I agree with you, but I like the idea of Sonya announcing herself Friday as the final competitor.
Who wins?
Right now, I'm going to go with Nikki Cross. I think she has been the one that has been built the most. She has been the top outside of the title picture. She has been the top women's storyline on Raw. She is the one that's got the most momentum going. I think I like Nikki Cross to win for the women, and for the men, I'm still going to go with Big E. But I wouldn't sleep on Drew McIntyre either.
I wouldn't sleep on Drew McIntyre either. I mean, there's some dark horses in there. Just not in terms of so much who wins the match, but I do think this is a Ricochet show. This is a Ricochet Johnny Drip Drip show. The stuff they've been doing, the over the top crazy stuff. They're going to be able to get something here. I wonder if Big E gets the strap in this. I think if he gets the briefcase, that is interesting. I think you need to do this to level someone up, and there's some guys that need leveling up here. Ricochet would need that. Riddle without Randy Orton here is interesting. I think this is more just a holdover program until you bring back Randy wherever Randy is. We dropped a top 5 video on our channel this week. I have to shout out Cybershack for this, because in the VO that I recorded for it, I did this ridiculous thing. And sometimes they cut out jokes that I do, and I completely understand it because it's really, really visual. I had to message him and be like, I pitched this idea in the VO of them doing a buddy cop movie. I'm not stealing an idea from Johnny Gargano, but I pitched the idea of Randy and Riddle having to take like doing the road trip show they used to have, the road trip show. Yeah. I was like, but it's long. Like they go coast to coast, and I pitch it, and he had to cut it down a little bit. But go see Bro Road in the upcoming top. We did the top 5 WWE creative angles of 2021 so far, and we mentioned RK Bro. It's been exciting. Other parts of this card that excite me, I think Kofi Kingston and Bobby Lashley have something to prove on this show.
That's the other big match right there, because if I'm WWE, I'm going into this with an open mind. Like, I would put this as, it would be, it all depends on the end, right? Like what your end is, because on paper, Roman Reigns and Edge is a bigger match. It just is. No disrespect to Bobby or Kofi, but I would almost leave this as my main event, Kofi and Lashley, and then I would leave the ending open, because if the crowd is as hot for Kofi Kingston as I think it's going to be, if you're not going to have him win, I would almost say be ready to call the audible. Give the WWE universe what they want. Have Kofi shock the damn world on your first big pay-per-view with a crowd, and give Kofi that big win and have him win his WWE championship. If the crowd is white hot to the point where you think they're gonna freaking revolt if he loses this match. Either way, you're getting money because either you get
plans change, pal. Plans change, pal. Can't always be a good thing too. People think the plans change, pal WWE trope is always a bad one. It's gone the other way a handful of times, and this could be a circumstance of that.
Because the other thing you could do is if Lashley does beat Kofi, one, he's going to get nuclear heat, and two, if Big E is your Money in the Bank ladder match winner, Big E can then come down, and we get that face off, or he even cashes in. I don't know, and the crowd still goes home happy. So there's a lot of avenues to do that. If that's your angle that you're playing there, that's what I would do with my main event. But I still think we're going to get Edge and Roman in the main event.
Here's a match that I feel is the least compelling on the card right now. I think this is more just a level of circumstance, but also just a level of returns in terms of what you've gotten. It is Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. They've been going at it. I believe this is maybe the third or fourth time that they've had a pay-per-view confrontation, and they've also interacted physically quite a bit on Monday Night Raw. What can we get out of this? Do you get this belt off Rhea and put it on Charlotte? What do you do?
I look out for another night of women's Money in the Bank cash in.
Yeah.
Like, to be completely honest, I think Rhea and Charlotte would work so much better together. One, if they just had better, stuff to work with. Like the crutch exchange a couple weeks back was just dumb. I think they're trying to do the best they can with the material they've been given, but they need better material. But I think that these two would work better just beating the holy crap out of each other without the title in the picture. Then they realize that, hey, we got a lot more in common and we should team up. And I think that would be the direction to go.
A tag team angle that has been more entertaining than I thought it would be is the Viking Raiders versus Omos and AJ Styles. They've made the Raiders look like contenders again. These are two guys that can always go and always provide some big things. Ivar beating AJ Styles in an upset to build up to this match.
Styles is losing a lot. In singles competition, he's been losing a lot in recent
He has been.
Which is interesting. Which I think is part of the Omos build, right? Because they want Omos to look, because if you think about it, heading into this matchup, you're sitting here going, well, if the Viking Raiders are going to win, they're going to have to beat AJ Styles. What? That's what we're thinking about here is like, well, if they're going to beat him, they're going to beat AJ Styles. They're not going to beat Omos. So I don't know. Are they kind of doing a detriment to AJ Styles to build up Omos, making Styles look like the weak link in the scenario?
Yes. And guess what? That story is aggravating. That may sound to long-time wrestling fans of AJ Styles. What makes more sense? Yeah, are you not going to try and make this gigantic attraction you have in Omos a special thing? Of course you are.
This is why they reportedly let go of Braun Strowman, right? Because they got guys like Commander Aziz and Omos that can fill that big guy role.
And if you're AJ Styles, if I keep looking great, what does my tag team partner do? We're a tag team. We both have to look great. And this creates a different dynamic that you can do something with. I'm not opposed to that. Roman Reigns, Edge. Is it a foregone conclusion that Edge leaves this show with the Universal Championship?
No, not at all. Edge leaving? No, I think it's foregone conclusion that Roman is leaving with the Universal Championship.
Excuse, I meant that. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Dyslexic,
totally.
Flipping it upside down.
Totally foregone conclusion that Roman Reigns is walking out with. I would be stunned, absolutely stunned, unless John Cena shows up and costs Roman the championship. I don't see any way. I like Rollins to get involved a lot in this. Here's the other play. If this is the main event, what if Rollins wins Money in the Bank and then pulls a WrestleMania 31
and cashes in again
and pins Edge? Then we could set up. I mean, there's a lot
and then it happens to Edge. Well, Edge has been cashed in on before, but God. See, now I'm on board. Like that's all exciting stuff.
There's a lot of
what we just laid out. What we just laid out for Money in the Bank. Doesn't that sound like a great show?
Yes,
it sounds like a great time. Here's the thing, guys. Turn your brain off. Turn it off. All right, and just find your off switch, your smart off switch. And flip it off try to be a wrestling fan this weekend. Try it. It's fun. It's what you actually got into wrestling for.
Yes.
So remember that.
There's a lot of interesting options. And yes, I have had Dutch Mantel himself say I should work for WWE Creative. So I like a lot. I like a lot of my ideas.
I think when he said that, he was being sarcastic, Rick. I don't know if he was legitimate.
Actually, I don't think so. I'm going to take that to heart. Dutch Mantel thinks I should be working in creative. I think that
Friday night after SmackDown, which will be a very, very eventful SmackDown, Dutch Mantel will join you on Smack Talk on our channel live. You can also get it on demand, watch whenever you want. We'll be dropping those in our audio podcast as well. This will be available in our audio podcast. You've listened to us talk about wrestling for an hour and 20 minutes. Why haven't you liked this video yet? You've listened to us talk about wrestling for an hour and 20 minutes on the podcast version. Give us a review. Thank you to the fans who've put us on the charts in Australia, in the Philippines, in Ireland, and in the United States. Thank you guys for putting us on the wrestling podcast charts for doing that. We are now available on Apple. All right. So we're dropping a lot of different content nearly 6 days a week. This week it'll definitely be 7 days a week. And this Saturday afternoon, we will be doing our special watch along of the classic Punk versus Cena match, not the whole Money in the Bank 2011 that is coming up. That's gonna be a really, really special show. We're gonna be doing that at 1:30 Eastern. 1:30 Eastern. You guys will be able to check that out. And it'll be absolutely fantastic. Definitely check that show out. And then on Sunday afternoon, we will be doing at 1 p.m. Eastern a Money in the Bank trivia challenge where I will kick Jose's ass. I'm sorry, that's a little bit of a spoiler part because I just know that's going to happen. And that's coming up. It'll be fun, but you'll win prizes in the chat. All right. Our friends at Retromania giving you some prize codes.
You bring up prizes. And again, I'm inclined to remind you to look at my Twitter my Twitter feed, 10 a.m. Friday at Rick Ucchino. If you take down that nice little graphic there, you can see my Twitter handle at Rick Ucchino, RICKUCCHINO, 10 a.m. Friday, especially if you live in the greater Cincinnati area. You're going to want to check that out. Also, you're going to want to check out the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel about that same time tomorrow. This is my conversation with Nikki Ash, who I believe will win the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Right now, there are some circumstances that could definitely change the playing field here between now and the actual show, but she's my favorite to win that Money in the Bank ladder match. I talked to her about that match and so much more. That will be dropping about 10 a.m. on Friday. So check out the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter. You're gonna want to do that.
Give me a follow on the Twitter machine at Kellam. Got a lot coming on. Big comedy shows, all that good stuff. July 24th, I will be at the Detour Brewing Company in Rockford, Illinois. And then check me out on air on 97.7 QLZ and the X. The X, 1049 The X. You can get those both on the TuneIn streaming app anywhere else in the world. X going to give it to you. Thank you guys so much for following and supporting the channel. You listen to us talk and ramble about wrestling, and we love you for doing it. We hope we entertain you. Hope we provided an escape during your day while you're getting ready for all the different things for Money in the Bank. Once again, turn that switch off. Just relax, okay? Do what Rick and I are telling you. Unky Rick, Unky Kev, just telling you to calm down. Breathe. Do what, Rick? What do they have to do?
Enjoy wrestling and enjoy the live crowds this weekend. Welcome back, everybody. Let's no what chance this weekend. Just give me that. Just give me one damn weekend with no what chance. That's all.
I see one beach ball. Send Cesaro out there to get all the beach balls. He's not booked on the show. Send him out in the crowd. He's got to get all the beach balls.
See you guys. Have a great
Tell him
week.
to give those uppercuts to the beach balls.
Damn it.
See you guys.